Hi guys, Greg Denning. I'm up here in this beautiful, peaceful valley with my family, and man, I love my family so much. Like you love your family. I have a fantastic marriage. We have 6 wonderful children, and we really live a great life. And I'm not saying this to brag or to boast or compare and compete anyway. I just am deeply grateful, and I love my family so much. And because I love them so much and I want to have awesome relationships, it's important that we learn to live peaceably. Like this valley. It's so peaceful. There's mists coming off the ground, the sun kind of coming through the trees. You hear the river down below. It's so peaceful. And our lives can be like that. It's so easy to live peaceably. And yet, I have this privilege of working with so many people with coaching or mentoring or speaking or counseling and just outreach. And I love to ask them about their relationships, because life is all about our relationships. If you have terrible relationships, life is going to be stinky, right? It's going to be miserable. You know what I'm talking about? When you're fighting and contending, it's just horrible. It makes life so frustrating and painful. And yet, the opposite is true. When your marriage is awesome, when your relationship with your kids and your family's wonderful, life's fantastic, and you feel like shouting for joy and singing and dancing, right? It's all about relationships, and they've got to be good. And one of the most critical elements is to live peaceably. Well, it's easy. And so you're saying, well, if it's so easy, why aren't we doing it? Why do we struggle so much? And why do so many people have trouble with it? And as I've asked many hundreds of people about their relationships, they tell me that there's too much contention. There's too much fighting. There's too much arguing. There's too much yelling. There's too much bitterness. And I always love to ask, okay, what is it? What is it that you're fighting about? What is it that you yell about? What is it that you get so upset about? And almost without exception, it's little things. It's little annoyances. These small frustrations, something they say, something they do, some weird habit. They took this, they borrowed that, they ruined something, they dropped something, they broke something, they said something, they came home a little late, they left early, they were a little bit thoughtless. It's usually not a big deal. And as I'm raising little children, right, and watching them interact, and they're like, "You're in my space!" And I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they like to grab each other's things, do whatever. And it's these little things, and it's just this great life lesson. Here it is, ready? This is the number one way to live peaceably. Choose not to be bothered by small things. That's it. It's simple. It may not always be easy, but it's very simple. Choose not to be bothered by small things. And like I mentioned, my little kids, little people are bothered by little things. Refuse to be a little person. Rise above that. Transcend little annoyances. And just say, how do great people think? How do great people live? What do they think about? What do they get bothered about? They get bothered about things? They get bothered about big issues and big ideas and problems in the world and how to solve them. They don't allow themselves to be bothered by petty annoyances. And so I want you to do this. It's in your mind. You just choose it. You make this switch and say, you know what? I'm just going to absolutely refuse. This is all about emotional mastery and greatness, okay, which I talk about a lot in my leadership series on worldschoolacademy.com. Because if we don't have emotional mastery and mental mastery, we're all over the place, and our circumstances throw us off, and anything comes along and somebody breaks the rules we have, and we have temper tantrums and arguments, and the world is just so explosive, and that's not a great way to live. So I challenge you. Invite peace into your life. Okay? Great book, by the way, little side note here. Read The Anatomy of Peace. It's fantastic. but invite that peace into your life. Live peaceably with all your relationships. So I want you to think right now, think of each of your most important relationships and what you can do to live more peaceably. What's something that you can overlook? Maybe there's something your spouse does that you don't like. If it's not a big deal, choose to overlook it. Maybe you have a sibling that you haven't been getting along with. And maybe it's something they do that just annoys you so bad. Choose not to be annoyed anymore. What's more important, the relationship or the little thing? So take this challenge, please. Take this challenge from me. Choose not to be bothered by small things anymore and focus on just living peacefully and just let things go. Like water off a duck's back, right? Just let the little issues just roll off. And maybe you're saying, well, what if it's a big issue? What if it's a big deal? Then choose to work on it peaceably. Talk. Have open communication, dialogue. Choose to start working through those things and to make compromises and to build a win-win situation. You can do this. Remember, your relationships are so important. They make or break life. So live peaceably and reach upward.